marriage and yellow ray, we encourage in the dailiness of a matured relationship the continual return to that place of marriage where two souls have united with the Creator to create the temple of a lifetime of dedicated and committed loving. Move into the silence of that tabernacle, which is within the heart. Move into that shared silence in which each may hear the Creator speak. Let love be that which is, but allow a love which you know not to undergrind, and support that which you know as love. And that was quote channeled through L&L Research, September the 21st, 2003. If we had married in this lifetime, perhaps we share misty memories of the beauty of our wedding days. I have special feelings for my beautiful dress and hair do, the company of my bridesmaids, and all the sweet details of such a happy day. Other than the power-packed catalyst of choosing to have a child, choosing to get married is the most powerful yellow ray decision we make in this life. We intend with all our hearts to make that promise to love each other for the better or for the worse, till death do us part, our reality. Again, I shall use my own experience as an example of the kind of issues we deal with our mated relationships. I have fond memories of both my wedding days and know how true my intention was, as I said my vows both times. My first marriage did not make. My motive in marrying was not love but ambition. My first husband, Jim DeWitt, was a gifted musician and folk singer in our high school years. After rehearsing and performing folk songs together for 3 years, Jim and Carla were ready for the big time. Still in college, we were young, attractive, and sounded very good together. We had created 60 beautiful original songs, and our hearts were full of love and light to share with the world. Jim was a member of the original meditation group begun by Don Elkins in 1962, and he and I shared the high ideals which I discuss in this book. Our intentions were pure. When we got an offer to tour with Peter, Paul, and Mary in the fall of 1964, Jim said that unless we got married, it would not be morally acceptable to him for us to travel together, and so I agreed to the marriage. I was fond of Jim, and he was of me. However, I was not romantically in love with him. I simply wanted to sing. As soon as we were married, Jim decided not to tour after all. He felt the hot breath of fame and panicked when an autograph seeker approached us at a local restaurant. He hung up his guitar and his performance career for life. The apparent reason for my first marriage having been removed completely, I chose to keep my promise and move forward, focusing on the good things we had together. However, I was relieved indeed when Jim asked me for a divorce in 1968. As Roy Schneider's character in the venerable film classic Good Neighbor Sam said about her on-screen marriage, it felt so good when it stopped. My second marriage was not a marriage at all, but a hand-fasting. Don Elkins did not approve of legal trapper marriage, yet wished my companionship. I adored Don, and so we jumped over the brim together. Scottish fashion, we were together for 16 years until Don's death in 1984. In its way, it was a divinely happy non-marriage. My third permanent relationship was my second marriage to my present husband, Jim McCarthy. I praise the Lord for this incredible luck of ending up with the best guy in the world. I'm still so in love with my Mick that I cannot really see straight when I am around him. Our marriage has lasted over 20 years and is still going strong. Good marriages are possible, but not necessarily probable. Marriage is not the permanent, final choice in the 21st century that it approached being in the past. Permanency remains the ideal, but when marriages fail, there is no societal condemnation. Fully half of the people who plan their weddings and exchange vows these days dissolve their unions within a few years. The reason is made clear when a famous divorce like that of Prince Charles and Princess Diana occurs. The prince married not for love, but to secure heirs to his family name. Once the heir and the spare were produced, Charles could not fix in his heart to remain faithful to his bride. the love of his life, Camilla Parker Bowles, had married someone else. He had married someone else, but they chose to be together anyway, at first discreetly and then, thanks to modern technology, very openly. Had the princess been older and more mature when the embarrassing cell phone conversation betwixt Prince Charles and Camilla became public, it is quite possible that she would have chosen to ignore the prince's romantic defection. Certainly the royal family hoped that she would. Many royals had done so before. There is a lot at stake in a state marriage. It was hoped that the future queen would see her honour duty, and it is an honour to be in the position where, just by keeping an open and loving heart and doing your various duties, you can strengthen and support a whole nation of people. However, Lady Diana's heritage was aristocratic, not royal, and she was quite young when she married. She had previously been the darling of her family. When her time came to sacrifice her pride and her happiness in order to keep her royal promise, she could not convince herself that the sacrifice was worthwhile. She went public with her complaints, and the marriage was soon dissolved. In a world where the pressures of convention are not enough to keep a royal couple together, there is clearly no longer a genuine pressure from society to stay married, even from the religious authorities who preside over our weddings. We now do not necessarily receive dire warnings if we wish to dissolve our unions. It might clear things up for us if society was dead honest about the cultural nature of marriage. If we took on marriage as we do other types of contracts in business, we could craft the agreement with more of a sense of the ties that bind. Perhaps we would make a 1-year or 5-year renewable promise instead of promising a lifetime all at one go. That's a good idea, actually. A 1-year to a 5-year marriage, and then just see how it goes. And then if you're not happy, you can break up on good terms, and you're not hating each other. Then that's probably a really good idea. Perhaps we would agree by contract that the wife or husband would have paid time home while she had raised the children, and so forth, ad infinitum, depending upon the needs of parents and partners entering into a marriage contract. It does not help things that we who marry make it a lifetime contract with the nuts and bolts shrouded in wedding veils and Pressel Bourbon net packets of bird seeds. However, there is one genuine gift at the heart of all religious marriages, the one infinite creator, as the Quo group says. This was channeled by Quo through L&L research on June the 28th, 1987. In any metaphysical covenant, there is a third party which overshadows both entities. You may call that being the creator. Perhaps we would do best to call it living love. Those who do not marry and seek together seek alone for the face of love. Those who seek through the covenant of marriage incorporate that which they seek into their marital seeking. This gives those who grasp and understand the metaphysical meaning of marriage a gracefulness, a tenderness that would not come naturally otherwise. Interesting one there by Quo. Speaking from my own experience, I can vouch for the fact that when two mates blend their spiritual walk along their worldly lives, the strengthening of both by each is the almost miraculous. I had been making a daily morning offering since I was 12. When we married in 1987, Jim began joining me for that. In 2001, we added to that a daily evening chapel time. The Gaia meditation. These two types of prayer, meditation and visualization, have bracketed our days for years now and lent to our daily routine the feeling of sacredness we both desire. Indeed, visualization and meditation is sacred. It's about the most sacred thing that you can possibly do. Visualization with meditation is the most powerful prayer that you can send out, as long as you send it out with love, pure love. There are many catalysts which can spell the end of a marriage. Sexual misbehavior and emotional or physical abuse probably top the list. People are not always kind to each other. Perhaps our mate has been brought up in an abusive family. He or she will subconsciously lean towards repeating that pattern. Perhaps the spouse is a bar crawler, needing the spurious reassurance of a new sexual partner to feel good about himself or herself. Those patterns of over-activation and avoidance lust, and jealousy would get triggered. Some want to be possessed. Some want to possess. That reminds me of that song, Sweet Dreams Are Made of This. Some of them want to abuse you, some of them want to be abused. Some of them want to use you, some of them want to be used. It's crazy. We don't always match up the two when it comes to picking a mate. There are so many ways things can seem to fall apart. When we find ourselves at the point of doubting whether the covenant we made in marriage is a good one, the quo's advice is sound. Go back to our wedding day. Return to the chance where we made our vows. Gaze at the altar and the holy things therein. Feel the presence of that one, Creator, who came into our marriages with us when we made our promise, and ask that presence for the help we need to stay true to our vows. As uppercase players, we know that we have taken a divine gamble by marrying. We know that each and every bet we make on the game board is tripled. If we can support each other, we have then the support of the other self, ourself, and the Creator. If we can accept each other, the power of that acceptance spills over into our ability to accept the beauty of our all creation. The potential for excellent catalyst and a good companion with whom to work with that catalyst is great. The difficulties and challenges of yellow ray marriage are always substantial, even in the best mated pairs. Remember always that third party in the marriage contract, the Creator, or in other words, infinite love. When challenged, find each other and come back to the sacred chance where covenant was made to seek for compassion and understanding and heal together. We will talk more about marriage in Living the Law of One, 102, The Outer Work, at the level of troubleshooting perceived problems. For this, give me the bullet volume. What is important to recall about marriage is that in terms of our graduating from the School of Planet Earth, it is centrally important to be sure that marriage and its issues have not blocked the flow of energy through our yellow ray energy centers. Relationships may or may not work out. That does not impinge on our work as a spiritual seeker. Our first interest as uppercase players is to be sure our energy bodies are free of constriction. Yellow ray sexuality. This is Quo, channeled through L&L Research on March the 25th, 2007. Quo states, when we speak of true energy exchange, we must consider that the energy between two people has moved a very long way from that beginning red ray attraction, which eventually initiates sexual congress. It has gone from lust to a personal relationship, and then often to a legal relationship or a committed relationship which is mated. And then the couple that has the opportunity to ask for the Creator itself to enter the sexual relationship through the open heart. When it comes to our sex lives within the mated relationships, we have pressure upon us that is not there in orange ray sexual relationships. As I said, all bets are tripled when one marries. If I win big. If we lose big. The phrase, you've made your bet, you've made your bed, now lie in it, always seemed ironic to me in the days of my first marriage, again during the years of my hand fasting, as I thought to myself, I can take responsibility for lying in the bed I have made, but I never knew that I'd be lying in it alone. We must face a very real possibility that our sexual desire for our partner may wane. Our partner's sexual desire for us may wane. In my first marriage, our sex life fell apart. After the wedding day, my husband's sexual interest in me permanently waned. He came to me only for the most perfunctory of sexual releases. And that's a good place to stop because we're running out of time. Again, I'll see you in the next part.